friends, welcome to today's video. Today I want to share with you how we do our advent calendar, especially having multiple children, what we put in it, what we're doing this year because we do it a little bit different every year, how I keep it very simple and chill because we all know mom does not need to be a crazy person at Christmas time, and also how our elves tie into our advent calendar. So grab a cup of something cozy. I hope you enjoy, and even if you are a last minute mom, you can still do advent like this starting tomorrow. It is really important to me and how I view Christmas and how I view life and the importance of cozy living and slowing down that we keep our Christmas traditions like Advent very cozy, very simple, and meaningful versus chaotic and busy and just an extra chore. Don't get me wrong, there is some effort involved, but I do try and keep it as minimal as possible because we are a busy family. I have 4 children and we've got a lot going on. I think that sometimes when we can overplan activities at Christmas, they can turn into burdens than actual fun-filled things that our family actually enjoys. And that is entirely what I'm trying to avoid. So I hope this is helpful if that piques your interest. My main focus for Advent is connection and rhythm and fitting small cozy moments into the entire holiday season so that each child feels cared for and they feel that Christmas magic, because I have kids ranging from teen all the way down to 1-year-old, and it's a really big age gap to work with, but my goal is for everybody to feel cozy and happy and having a very joyful Christmas. I also think that when you have multiple children, it is very important to keep things very realistic, and it needs to suit your life and what you're actually doing. It is great and wonderful to pull all these ideas off of Pinterest, but if it doesn't actually suit how your family functions or the calendar that you have for the month of December, then it's probably not going to work that well for you and it's going to be extra stressful. So my entire philosophy is to avoid that like the plague and do very simple, very cozy things, because something I've learned as a mother is that kids don't need a lot to be happy. Oftentimes, our presence and our connection and our attention is all they really want. So in the opening of this video, you saw our advent calendar. I chose this type of bunting? I guess it's a bunting kind of, in their pockets. I got this at Target way back when Canada had a Target. But I've seen versions of this in like stockings or little tiny mittens at things like Walmart. I think I've seen Michael's have a few. But you could really do this with many variations of advent calendar as long as the slots or drawers or whatever are more than like an inch big. It is tricky because I don't think you could possibly find an advent calendar big enough when you have multiple children to fit everybody. So having to be a little bit more creative is why I'm sharing this video, because if you are having this struggle where the things you normally put in your advent calendar just don't fit anymore because you have multiple kids, then I hope this finds you well, because it was a struggle for me for a little while too. You can put so many things in an advent calendar. You can do chocolates, you can do treats, you can do little toys, you can do advent activities, you can do little love notes, you can do acts of service, you could do so many different things. So things I've put inside before are tiny treats and trinkets. I used to wrap all of them when my kids were smaller. Erasers and pencils and small toys that aren't complete junk. Little Christmas notepads from the dollar store and pens were a huge hit. My kids played with those forever. Color changing bath tablets, like whatever. So many small little things. And I loved things that you could buy one of and then split it up into many Advent days. It keeps the cost low. It keeps it not so overwhelming. So many things you could put in advent calendars. Obviously, 100 treats that are small. Chocolate, yes. Candy, sure. Mints, I don't know, gum if your kid is older, like whatever. Handwritten notes are great. You could do little words of affirmation if your kid is really into that. You could do little love notes. You could do a scavenger hunt. You could do acts of service and acts of kindness. You could put activity ideas on notes and then do them. There are so many things you can do with just a piece of paper. Activity ideas I love are things like board game day or pajama day or hot chocolate bar, or we're going to have a family movie day. We're going to go sledding, bake Christmas cookies. go around tonight. We're going to get all our pajamas on and go do a light drive and go see all the Christmas lights. The activity ideas are endless. Pinterest is a really great source for this. Just pick whichever suits your family. I love the idea of simple acts of kindness in advent calendars, like donating X amount of things from the pantry to the food drive, or let's grab 2 books or 1 book and put it in the little free library down the road. Shovel your neighbor's driveway, bake cookies, and then go give them to your neighbor, or half of them or whatever. Go smile and say Merry Christmas to 5 different people you don't know today. Things like that are great, and they encourage kids to get in the mindset of giving and gratitude. And I think it's a really wonderful thing to do this holiday. Cozy seasonal prompts are fun. Like, again, make paper snowflakes. If your tree's not up, you could put up the tree one day, and that could be your advent activity. There are so many things you could do. I also love that so many of these things could cost nothing. So it doesn't have to be some extravagant big to do. I feel like this is more valuable than opening a chocolate window or like whatever, even if I did some elaborate thing. My kids love these small connections, and I love that they are able to be done with all ages. This year, what we are doing is I'm going to go buy a big bag of Swiss chocolates from Costco, and that is what I've been doing for a few years now. And I will put 4 chocolates in each advent thing, and I will put a activity or act of kindness in as well on a note. That is my favorite method, and that is what I will like to do. But then our elves also contribute and support our advent calendar, and I'll talk about that in a second. But that's what we're doing this year. And those Swiss chocolates are so good, and they're the perfect size. They're just little squares. Everybody gets one. They're not too thick. It's not too much chocolate, so I don't feel bad about giving my kids one every single day. And then there's plenty left over, and I throw the extras in stockings, and I use them for like gifts for family. I will like throw them in. If I'm making like a gift basket, I'll throw a handful of chocolates in there. They're great. Okay, so managing multiple ages is tricky. I won't lie. Again, I have from teen to tot, and so I like to keep our activities very open-ended, things that a teenager or adult would enjoy, and then also that a toddler could get in on and enjoy. The good thing about toddlers is they really enjoy anything that they're included with, so it's not hard to please them. Chocolate is also just great. Everybody loves chocolate or treats, and if they don't love chocolate, like little candies or whatever. There's so many food items that you could put in there that are really enjoyable for everyone. Another thing you could do with managing lots of different ages and kids is you could rotate days. It's not my personal favorite, but I think it could work for some families. If it's somebody's turn to get Advent and everybody knows that they're going to have a turn, it could work for you. Pick things that everybody will enjoy. Make sure your Advent activities, if you're doing like the slips of paper or something that everybody just could participate in, try to avoid really elaborate crafts or activities that could be more of a chore. If you have a teenager that's going to feel like they're dragged around to go, I don't know, do some babyish Christmas thing, that might not be the best thing. So I think just being intentional about what you're doing and what you're choosing so that everybody can have some fun is important. Like, even if one of our Advents, for example, is always like write a letter to Santa. And if your teenager's like, I'm not going to write a letter to Santa, it's so much fun to like just be like, okay, why don't you write me like the goofiest letter to Santa you can? Please, like, make me laugh as hard as you can. Make it a fun activity for them, right? I think there are ways to shape them so that all of your kids can enjoy. But yeah, definitely not forcing the complicated crafts or things that like maybe aren't enjoyable for the entire age range of your children. Just keep that in mind. Ultimately, I think you should really do what works for the season of your life as well. If you're in a really busy season, the more complicated things are not going to work for you. If you don't have time to do any crafts, that's okay. If your crafts are from the dollar store, that's totally fine. If you just are going to color in wooden ornaments out of the dollar store packs, that's also an activity. It's also great, super fun, awesome, good for you. Do whatever works for you in this season. Not every year is going to be the same, and some years you just have more to give than others. So really keep in mind what your bandwidth is. So the elf, we tie our elves in as they're supporting elves for our Advent. We do kind of kindness elves. So ours are not naughty. they're not really elf on the shelf vibes, even though we do have fun with them. The goal of our elves is to help support our advent calendar, to promote kindness and giving through the season, to be silly, and to just add a little bit of extra fun. And we are very low maintenance with our elves. My kids' favorite thing that they do is hide. They love a wicked game of hide and seek, and each kid has an elf. So depending on the age of that kid, like my teenager, that elf hides real good. Good luck finding it. They love that. And then obviously, like, the little ones might bring something, or they might, So how our elves support is they might bring a larger activity. Maybe in the advent there's just chocolate that day, and then the elves might have brought a larger activity that it couldn't possibly fit in an advent calendar. Or maybe they bring a book for us all to read, or a new movie, or something, like something that would be too big. The elves could bring that. I also like to use the elves to set up cozy, fun advent surprises, or like if we're doing baking day, and that's going to be the advent activity, because we swing it like our elves set up our advent calendar. Our elves fill the advent calendar. They come, they fill the advent calendar. Magical. We have a North Pole breakfast every December 1st. It's a big to do. And so that's kind of like the first day is covered because we do this North Pole breakfast, and the elves arrive and they bring all this crazy crap to eat for breakfast, and that's what we do. But if we're baking that day, all the baking supplies might be out, and they might have that already, and that might be like a clue as to what you're going to open in the advent that day. We like to use them for things like that. My intention for all of this is always to just be cozy, magical, and whimsical, with intention and not chaos or more work for mom. Just everybody have fun. It might be a dance party that is going on that day. Simple, easy, free, still fun. But the main thing is I keep the advent really manageable. I don't plan it all ahead. Some years I do, some years I don't. As I have more children, there will probably be most years where I do not plan it all ahead because it's busy. I make sure I'm choosing things that actually fit into my life and the season we are currently in. If I have lots of outings in December, I'm going to be very conscious of what I'm doing. And if I'm not planning it all ahead because I have to do elf stuff every day anyway, it's not hard to just write a little thing on a piece of paper, knowing what the next day holds and picking something from. Like, what I'll often do is write a master list of ideas, and I'll keep that in a notebook. Master list of things for the elves to do, and master list of things of advent activities and acts of kindness. And then just depending on what the next day brings, I can just jot it down on a piece of paper, stuff it in to the advent calendar, and away we go. It doesn't have to be that complicated, and you don't have to overthink it. I think that's the biggest thing. You don't have to overthink it. Advent should be no pressure. It should be magical. It should be joyful, because it's about your presence and your presence as a family and being together. It doesn't always have to be like this big thing to check off a list. Your advent calendar could be something as simple as checking something off the bucket list every single day, and together eating a chocolate and choosing what you're going to check off that day. That's also okay. That's brilliant. So I hope this has helped you get some more ideas and maybe a different perspective on how to use your advent calendar, how to use a advent calendar. If you see all of those cute ones and you're like, what would I possibly put in there? Hopefully this was helpful. I would love if you could share what you're putting in your advent calendar, or what you do. If you have like fun activities and you want to share some of your ideas, previous years that you've had that ideas were a really, really big hit with your kids, please feel more than welcome to put that down below, because I love you're giving ideas not only to me, but to everybody else who's reading the comments and watching this video. So I love when the community contributes. It's so helpful to everyone. If you want to just share about your advent calendar or whatever you would like to tell me or others, that is also awesome. And I love hearing from you guys. And I hope that even if you don't have very many plans and you have just forgotten how close December actually is, like me, you will be able to still pull off an awesome advent, even if you have no planning and no prep, because it starts tomorrow. With this method, you could still pull off advent, and you could still be like a rockin' mom. You're a rockin' mom anyway, but you know what I mean. So I hope this was enjoyable to you. I hope it was helpful, and I cannot wait to see you for daily videos for Vlogmas starting tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye.